Good afternoon, sir. If you could please approach the witness stand, go ahead and stand behind that bar there, and I will swear you in. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give in the case now in hearing should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead and have a seat. Can you please state your rank and name?
Yes, Colonel Stuart Churchill.
And do you mind spelling first and last name for the record?
STUART-CHURCHILL.
And what is your current duty assignment?
The Mission Support Group Commander out of the Cannon Air Force Base in Mexico.
And how long have you been in that role?
Since the 14th of June last year.
Before that, where were you stationed?
Sgt Air Force Base.
How long have you been in the military?
Just over 30 years.
How long have you been a commander in that 30 years?
2 years as a Comptroller Squadron Commander, and just put up on 9 months or so in the group.
Do you know the accused in this case?
I do.
Who is it?
Here in this case.
Let the record reflect that Colonel Churchill nodded towards Senior Airman Lance Castle. When did you first come to know Senior Airman Castle?
I was copied on an email or two while I was still at Sky Air Force Base. And then it was one of the mass emails that went out. So I glanced at it, wasn't sure what it was all about. And so over the course of the 6 months leading up to changing jobs from Scout to Cannon, essentially had recurring sessions with then Group Commander Colonel Barry Roach. He was the Mission Support Group Commander. Like in any job, getting turnover, getting up to speed on the job itself. And so this was a topic that we left for when I actually got boots on the ground at Cannon.
Okay, so you said that you had conversations with Colonel Roche, kind of getting up to speed as to what your job would be, but did not discuss Senior Airman Castle until you were physically present at Cannon Air Force Base? Thank you. When you physically got to Cannon Air Force Base and had that briefing with Colonel Roche, what did he share with you?
It was more just...
I'll rephrase the question, sir.
Sorry, what was the objection, defense counsel?
I was concerned it was going to elicit hearsay, sir.
I'll rephrase. Based on your conversation with Colonel Roach, what was your belief of Castle at Senior Airman Castle at that time?
My belief of Senior Airman Castle?
Yes, your opinion of him.
That essentially he had some challenges that we were going to address in short time.
When you said that we were going to address, who's that we you're speaking of?
Yeah, the Air Force, the Mission Support Group.
Did you feel that there were those issues that were described to you were things that you could address?
Absolutely.
Did you speak with anybody in your command about how to address those issues?
So had my senior incident leader, Senior Master Hunt, was part of my counsel, of course, my legal advisors in the legal office.
You mentioned a couple names there. How many levels of command would you say were involved in those conversations?
In this one in particular, the first couple was just at my level, and then of course led into the multidisciplinary team meetings that came together as a group from the leadership down.
Is it standard for you to engage all levels of leadership when a senior airman or any airman has an issue?
No.
So what made Senior Airman Castle's case rise to your level?
I believe it was more so the emails, the electronic communication that went out to all levels of leadership, the NAVSOC, Air Force Special Operations Command, and the Air Force.
When you're having these conversations with these various levels of command, what are some of the things you're discussing as to help Senior Airman Castle?
Well, first and foremost, the focus was always making sure that he had the resources available in whatever capacity he needed from the medical front, from the supervision front, etc.
So as you're discussing these different avenues, is it being relayed back to Senior Airman Castle?
Yes.
How so?
So at the time, Master Sgt Calhoun, the first sergeant for FSS, was our primary belly button for communication with the Airman Castle.
And were you part of that decision for it to be Calhoun being that belly button, as you said, for Senior Airman Castle?
Yes.
Why is that?
There was an amount of trust that was in place. someone that Airman Castle could actually communicate with, and was able to communicate with Airman Castle.
Did you have a reason for not having it be somebody at his assigned chain of command?
Probably because he wouldn't communicate much with other folks. It was more of a one-way. So, like, for instance, Senior Hunt was the one that would be checking on Airman Castle each day and reminding him what he needed to report to work. But for the most part, it was sort of counting. So
where was Senior Airman Castle assigned at this time?
At the time when I got in, it was with duties at in the Force Support Squadron. So not as home squadron of the Logistics Readiness Squadron.
Are both of those squadrons under your command?
Yes, they are.
So as things are unfolding with Senior Airman Castle, who is giving you information?
So I have a number of advisors. Both Senior Master Sergeant Hunt was my senior enlisted leader at the group. Sat in for my chief, who was TDY. Was Sgt Calhoun. Was folks in the Force Support Squadron with respect to administrative type questions, as well as the legal office.
As you are relaying this information to Calhoun, Hunt, other individuals, are you putting any checks in place to make sure that Senior Airman Castle is getting the things, the communications that you're passing along?
Absolutely. So Sgt Calhoun, again, was our primary level for passing on information to Castle, whether it was without a uniform, he needed to report in, needed to come and see me, how he needed to report in, etc.
How often are you having these conversations?
Airman Castle took up a lot of time leading up to the different administrative pieces.
Why is that?
Mainly because of his engagement at all levels, above the wing, etc. So the questions are being asked, and so making sure that we're addressing Airman Castle's concerns, but also doing our job and maintaining good order discipline.
You mentioned visibility at higher levels of command and doing what you could. Did you have any personal feelings about making sure Senior Airman Castle's needs were being met?
Absolutely. I mean, we have the same level of care for all of our airmen, despite what it is they're going through, and making sure that, again, they have access to the help that's available, not just on the medical front, but that's what we have for sergeants, health care for our force, our members, as well as supervisors on down the chain.
Do you feel that you did everything you could to make sure he was receiving adequate accommodations as requested?
I did.
I want to kind of break down the timeline that you may have interacted with Senior Airman Castle. Do you remember the first in-person interaction you had with him?
I do.
When was that?
18th of June. That was the letter of command issuance.
Who set up that meeting?
I had Sgt Calhoun be the communicator with Airman Castle to let them know the date, time, uniform, etc.
Did you provide Calhoun with any information that you wanted to be relayed to Senior Airman Castle about how he was to report into that meeting?
Absolutely.
What was that?
Standard military customs and courtesies when you're reporting in to a commissioned officer. You knock on the door, you wait until you're told to enter. You come in, you march to the table, stand at attention, you salute and report in, give a reporting statement. Most likely sent to serve Chairman Castle report his order, something to that effect. And then the member typically should hold their salute until the commissioned officer returns the salute, and then stays at attention until the officer says either at ease or parade rest.
Was that meeting on 18 June 2024 recorded?
I believe it was.
Who recorded that?
Airman Castle.
How do you know that?
Because he walked in with his phone out.
I have what has been marked as Prosecution Exhibit 4 for identification. It is a disk containing one audio file titled Prosecution Exhibit Audio Non-Reporting Procedure from 18 June 2024. It is a 39-second video. Defense has had the opportunity to review this and was provided a copy of the video. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may. In just 1 second. Ms. Davis, are you able to hear the witness okay? Okay. I just ask is, Colonel Churchill, you're a pretty soft-spoken person, and Ms. Davis has had some difficulty hearing other witnesses in this case, so just make sure you keep your voice up, okay?
Gotcha. Sorry.
Go ahead, trial counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Colonel Churchill, I've just handed you Prosecution Exhibit 4 for identification. Do you recognize it?
I do.
And what is it?
It is a disc containing the recording.
Are you familiar with its contents?
I am.
Have you had the opportunity to review the recording on this disc?
I am.
Were there any changes, additions, or deletions to the audio recording that you reviewed?
Not that I'm aware of.
Whose initials are on the front of that disc?
My initials.
When did you initial it?
Yesterday.
Is the audio contained on that disc a correct and accurate recording of what took place with the accused on 18 June 2024?
It is.
May I retrieve it, Your Honor?
No.
The government would move to offer Prosecution Exhibit 4 for identification into evidence as Prosecution Exhibit 4.
Defense counsel, any objection?
No, sir.
Prosecution Exhibit 4 for identification is admitted as Prosecution Exhibit 4.
Permission to publish this on the screen behind me, sir?
You may. Is this a copy of Prosecution Exhibit 4?
Yes, Your Honor. This is a copy that we are going to now play for the witness.
Transfer recording. We're transferring the recording. Stop the recording. Not going to follow the standards of customs and courtesies of our Air Force. That's the first time. Okay.
Colonel Churchill, I want to discuss what you stated in that. You stated, this is the first time we met. Is that correct?
It is.
And then you stated, you're not going to follow the standards and customs and courtesies. Is that correct?
Yes.
What's going on in this meeting?
So just visually, the moment he came in, he's not in full service dress as directed. He's in OCTs. He walks to the table with his phone recording, and I give him the opportunity to correct himself and report in as is customary. And he just stood there with a very intense look, grinding his teeth, fists on the conference room table, bowing up at me across the table. And so I gave him multiple times to correct himself and do the right thing, and he did not.
Prior to this meeting, had Senior Airman Castle relayed to you, through another individual or himself, that he had concerns about following those customs and courtesies?
No.
Had he relayed to you that he was going to record the encounter?
No.
When this meeting took place and he failed to render the standard customs and courtesies, what did you feel?
Mainly, since it was our first engagement together, disappointed, but also disrespected, just for someone to not follow the rules and the standards that we expect of our airmen was kind of a slap across the face, so to speak. So.
During this meeting, did you issue Senior Airman Castle a no contact order?
I did.
I have in my hand a 2-page document dated 18 June 2024 titled Memorandum for Senior Airman Lance C. Castle. Subject, Senior Airman Lance C. Castle, no contact order. Copy has previously been provided to defense. Your Honor, would you like a working copy?
Yes, please.
And may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Go ahead and take a moment to review that and look up at me when you're ready. Do you recognize that document?
I do.
How do you recognize it?
It's my signature. It's the one I issued Airman Council.
Are you familiar with the contents of this document?
I am.
Is that signature yours at the bottom there?
Yes, it is.
Is Prosecution Exhibit 5 for identification a true and correct copy of the no contact order you issued to him on 18 June 2024?
Yes.
Permission to retrieve the exhibit, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Government offers Prosecution Exhibit 5 for identification into evidence as Prosecution Exhibit 5.
Any objection, defense counsel?
No, sir.
Prosecution Exhibit 5 is admitted.
Providing the original to the court reporter. I want to talk about this, sir. This no contact order. How did it come about?
So in the days leading up to the LOR issuance, several folks came forward, whether it was with Sgt Calhoun or Sgt Master Hunt, or directly Chief Calhoun with me, requesting that to be excluded from any and all future correspondence from Airman Castle based on various levels of stress and anxiety that they have caused, as well as some concerns for safety.
Did they come to you directly?
No.
How did it get relayed to you?
Via Sgt Calhoun, Sgt Master Hunt, Sgt Master Hunt, or Chief Baldwin.
When you were shared these names and this information, what were your first thoughts?
I was like, okay. And so we brought in our legal advisors and kind of talked through, hey, what does this look like? What does this mean? Is it legal, et cetera? And based on the circumstances and advisement, it was approved.
When you gave Senior Airman Castle this memo in this meeting, what was his reaction?
So this one, I didn't look up necessarily as I was reading it, but I don't recall any reaction off the top of my head.
Did you make any observations about his body language?
During the engagement, as mentioned, he was very agitated, staring intently at me, both up fists on the conference room table, clenching his teeth, etc.
As he's having that reaction, what are you thinking to yourself?
Well, I mean, honestly, is this guy going to come across the table at me? And so that was a concern.
After you gave him this no contact order, did Senior Airman Castle give you the impression that he understood the order?
As best I can tell.
What do you mean by as best I could tell?
I don't recall a head nod or any change to his behavior as I just described.
What happened at the conclusion of that meeting?
Wrapped it up, passed the documents to Sgt Calhoun, and dismissed him.
After he left, did he follow proper customs and courtesies as he was leaving?
No.
After he left, did you have any conversations about the meeting with anybody?
Absolutely.
Who did you speak to?
So it was Senior Hunt, as I recall. We invited over a representative from the legal office just to talk through, based on the events that unfolded and how they unfolded, what are some options for me to correct this behavior, specifically not following proper protocols, presenting discipline and respect, communicating with the shirt to us, as well as what was in the realm of possible in terms of the recording. And so that's what we discussed.
And based on that meeting, what did you decide?
So based on that meeting, it was apparent that Airman Castle needed to be reminded of what standards and expectations were specific to those items, as well as reporting for work.
I want to backtrack just a little bit. So, do you feel that you were getting a sense of Senior Airman Castle up to this point?
Well, I really wasn't anticipating how the first event unfolded, and so that was the first for me in the shop.
What were your opinions on Senior Airman Lance Castle up to this point?
Objection. I have some concerns here that the call to question may call for some improper character evidence here.
Trial counsel, do you have a response? And just generally, I guess, talk to me about the relevance.
So at this point, going to what drove his decisions, so kind of those interactions impact on the listener, what he's doing, so not necessarily eliciting a opinion in the sense of eliciting more of his driving reason for making a decision, not necessarily just an opinion.
For making the decision with respect to what?
With respect to the follow-on orders given to Senior Airman Castle to include the no contact order, sir.
Well, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, the witness has testified as to why he issued the no contact order. I can understand defense counsel's concern about eliciting improper character evidence, and I'm just wondering, I don't want to limit your case, but what additional do you need to explain why that NCO was offered?
Development of growing concerns, sir, may have started off as something that could have been addressed with just one single order, and then as additional information was received.
I'm going to sustain the objection. You can ask about specific incidents that happened and whether those led to follow-on actions, but as to an open-ended question of his opinion of the accused, I'm going to sustain the objection.
Understood, sir. Did you have the authority to issue the accused a lawful order as his group commander?
Absolutely.
Following the no contact order that you issued, what were some other orders that you issued to be relayed to Senior Airman Castle?
Based on the first session and recognizing there may be potentially some misunderstanding or just some outright disobedience to orders, issuing him a duty standards and expectations memo that outlined and reminded Airman Castle what his responsibilities were.
Do you remember the date that you issued that order?
It was a week later, 25th of June, I believe.
And was that in person?
Yes, it was.
I have in my hand what is marked as Prosecution Exhibit 6 for identification. It is a 2-page document dated 25 June 2024. Subject line reading, duty expectations and required standards. Copy has previously been provided to defense. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
And would you like a working copy, Your Honor?
Please.
Go ahead and take a moment to review that and then look at me when you're ready. Do you recognize the document that I have handed you?
I do.
How do you recognize it?
It's the memo I issued Airman Castle.
Are you familiar with the contents of this document?
I am.
Is that your signature there at the bottom of page 2?
Yes, it is.
Is Prosecution Exhibit 6 for identification a true and correct copy of the duty expectations memorandum you issued to him on 25 June 2024?
Yes, it is.
At this time, government moves to offer Prosecution Exhibit 5 for identification into evidence as, Prosecution Exhibit 6 for identification into evidence as Prosecution Exhibit 6.
Defense counsel, do you have any objections?
No, sir.
Prosecution Exhibit 6 for ID is admitted as Prosecution Exhibit 6.
May I retrieve the document from you?
Go ahead.
Providing the original to the court reporter. So how did this duty expectations memo come about?
So it's essentially the outcome of our first engagement in how Aaron Castle presented himself, just to make sure that he understood where I was coming from and what those basic expectations and standards are moving forward.
What were some of the duty expectations and standards that you put in this memo?
Specifically, maintaining discipline and respect when engaging with others, professionalism and what that means, communication with the first sergeant and the supervisor on any issues he was having or needed assistance with, dress and appearance, fitness, etc., just to make sure that one, he understood the basics, but also that he was taking care of himself. And then, of course, the last pieces were using recording devices as well as use of social media.
I want to break each of those down. So, duty hours and locations. How did you come to the decision to put that specifically into this memo?
It was understood that Aaron Castle was not necessarily reporting for duty as ordered, and so I wanted to take the opportunity to remind him of what that looks like.
In regards to posting during the duty day, how did you come to that decision?
I'm sorry?
In regards to posting during the duty day, how did you come to that decision? Place it in the memo.
Posting social media?
Yes, sir.
During duty? After the first engagement, I learned that the recording made its way on the internet via Aaron Castle's social media accounts.
And did that cause you enough concern that you felt it needed to be addressed, or were you just being careful? What was going on in your mind?
Well, one, that's pretty uncommon. In fact, I don't recall seeing anything like that in my career. And so that drove conversations with our legal advisors on what authority do I have with respect to limiting and directing his use of that. And so the results that you have in the duty standards and expectations memo were validated with our legal advisors, et cetera. Mainly to get after maintaining good order and discipline for the force. The information that he posted online was not for official release. In doing so, essentially violated any sort of trust that we all share as a common bond.
What about in regards to recording?
In terms of recording, that was the other piece that I wanted to see if, what were my left and right limits with respect to limiting recording. The first engagement, again, was a surprise. I hadn't seen anything like that before. And so I saw that as extremely disrespectful, especially the way in which he carried it out. But and then to go and post that official proceeding open to the world just eroded the trust.
When you say open to the world, did you have any concerns about it being open to the world?
Yes, I mean these types of engagements are typically private to respect the members' privacy as well as all those involved. There are pieces of documentation that aren't necessarily for public release that shouldn't be advertised to the world, the public, so to speak. And so this was an attempt to get after, one, not allowing any sort of recording, video or otherwise, during any future engagements, as well as ensuring that, when and if he was at work, he was focused on doing his job by posting on personal social media platforms.
When you provide this duty expectation memo to Senior Airman Castle, what is his response?
Well, for the first page, there was no necessary reaction. Again, I was reading, but when I got to the second page and started talking about the expectations for reporting, that was one in which he piped up right away and said, hey, that's something that I can't follow that order, essentially.
Do you know if he did follow the order given to him?
He did not.
Can you give me some examples of how he violated it?
There were posts on social media for that engagement as well, the video recording, etc.
What was his physical reaction, body language like during this meeting?
So this being the second engagement, it was a little different than the first. Still was not in the appropriate uniform, still did not render the appropriate customs and courtesies coming in, reporting statement, etc. Recorded, didn't stand at attention, etc. And so with a different demeanor as well. He was not as agitated as the first encounter. And so seeing all of this, I took the opportunity to have him take a seat and just have a conversation because it appeared that he had a change of heart, change in mindset, and potentially the first engagement maybe resulted in some positive outcomes.
I want to kind of compare and contrast these two incidents that you've now had with Senior Airman Castle. So going back to 18 June 2024, you said his fists were on the conference room table. Can you describe that for me?
Like show you what it looks like?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yes. So, this being the conference room table, I'm sitting across. He was on the conference room table, bowing, leaning towards me, gritting his teeth, and staring intently at me.
Thank you, sir. Let the record show that the witness stood, placed his hands, which were rolled into fists, in front of him on the witness stand, leaning forward, and he directed that he was sitting across from Senior Airman Castle by pointing with his hand across from himself. So in that meeting, you have this physical response from him, and then in the second meeting, he voices that he has concerns about the duty expectations memo, you said. But he did not have the same physical response. What do you think, based on what you were seeing, did he appear calmer?
Yes.
You said he sat down at the table.
I asked him to sit down.
Thank you, sir. You asked him to sit down at the table. Was he in a... How would you describe his body language after he sat down?
Still calm, somewhat relaxed, and we had a conversation.
What was your takeaway following this meeting as to whether or not this duty expectations memo was going to be followed?
I was hopeful, given the change in demeanor. Again, considering maybe the first engagement got through him, and this was an opportunity that he could see, hey, I'm not here to get you. We're all in this together, and by you showing me a little bit more of a more professional and calm type of demeanor, that we were getting somewhere.
Can airmen decide if they're going to follow a lawful order or not?
Negative.
So when Senior Airman Castle violated this no contact order, what were your thoughts?
My initial thoughts were a bit of surprise, but my response was, take this to your legal advisor and check it out with them. Essentially, I'd already, of course, gotten my legal advisor crew to ensure that this was a legal, moral, and ethical order.
So I want to kind of take a step back from these two meetings and talk about what's generally going on during this period of time. Are you aware whether or not Senior Airman Castle was reporting to where he needed to be for his duty location?
So up until that point, there was some question. and I don't believe he was reporting to work every day. He was communicating with the first sergeant, Sgt Calhoun. And so that piece of the duty expectations memo, including the procedures for showing up to work when, the time, location, who he's going to report to, when his lunch hour is, etc. So there was no confusion as to what a standard duty day looks like.
And do you feel, based on what you were relaying to Hunt and Calhoun, that you were adequately making sure Senior Airman Castle knew where he was supposed to be?
Yes.
At this point in time, was it relayed to you that he had any concerns about his duty location or times?
So it started to get to the point where Senior Master Hunt was tasked with checking in with Airman Castle each day, reminding them, hey, this is where you need to report to work, this is the time, etc. And so this is when we started to see Airman Castle was not reporting to work.
Was there a point in time that you felt you needed to address this with Senior Airman Castle?
Yes. And so this essentially, after it went on for a few days, and we're seeing that Airman Castle is not reporting to work, this is where we started to put the pieces together that, is he going to come back to work at all? And so that essentially led to the next engagement with Airman Castle.
And when was that next in-person engagement?
I believe that was the 11th of July.
And where was that held?
In the same place the first two engagements were, in my conference room, building 600.
Did he show up for that meeting? Did he show up for that meeting?
Yes, he showed up for that meeting.
Was he given any directives on how to appear at that meeting?
Yes, he was. Same as before, relayed through Sgt Calhoun. Full service dress, normal customs and courtesies, reporting statement, etc.
And at this point in time, is the duties and expectations memorandum still in effect?
Yes, it is.
And all the contents contained therein?
Yes.
To include not recording?
Correct.
Did Airman Castle record that interaction you had with him?
He did.
How do you know that?
You walk in with the phone out, record it.
I have in my hands a disc which has been marked as Prosecution Exhibit 7 for identification. It is a disc containing one video file that is 6 minutes long in length, titled Full Colonel Churchill Third Encounter. Defense has been given an opportunity to review this and has a copy of the video. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yeah.
Sir, do you recognize this?
I do.
What is it?
It is the reporting of that meeting.
Have you had the opportunity to review the contents of it?
Yes, I
Is that your signature there?
have. These are my initials, yes.
Pardon, your initials. What is the date of those initials?
Date on
When did you initial it, sir?
yesterday.
Thank you, sir. Was the video a fair and accurate depiction of your interaction with Senior Airman Castle at the time of that meeting?
Yes, it was.
May I retrieve the disc, Your Honor?
Okay.
Government moves to offer Prosecution Exhibit 7 for identification into evidence as Prosecution Exhibit 7.
Defense counsel, any objection?
Can we have one moment?
Do object to our concern following that it's, first of all, it's not evidence that the charged defendant is not charged with violating the order with respect to recording. Number one. So it's in some ways unnoticed 404B type evidence that
It doesn't have any direct bearing to any charge defense.
Trial counsel, give a response.
It does depict disrespect on not following customs and courtesies, which is a charge defense, Your Honor. Goes to the res gestae of that.
Okay. I'll overrule the objection as it, at least from trial counsel's offer, is evidence of charge 2, specification 2. Of course, defense counsel, I will not consider any to the extent it is uncharged misconduct, will not consider it as improper character evidence or anything of that nature.
Understood.
Go ahead, trial counsel.
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon. I give you permission to record audio only when I start speaking. And you're recording already. So you're defining direct order already. I'll give you an opportunity to correct. I'll give you one opportunity.
Right after continue if I report it like this.
I give you parameters.
Is it going to continue if I keep on reporting? Can you answer the question?
I'm asking you to put the thumb down.
If you answer my question, we'll go on to the next.
I'm asking you to put the thumb down.
I want this article 15 from you. If this is going to not let me not allow me to get it, I need to know that because I will stop recording so I can get it. If I continue recording and you're going to issue it to me anyway, I'm going to continue recording.
Audio recording.
If you want this to.
Is that accurate, sir?
Audio recording only. I give you one opportunity.
Right after continue if I report it like this.
I give you parameters.
Is it going to continue if I keep on recording? Can you answer the question?
I'm asking you to put the thumb down.
If you answer my question, we'll go on to the next.
I'm asking you to put the thumb down.
I want this article 15 from you. If this is going to not let me not allow me to get it, I need to know that because I will stop recording so I can get it. If I continue recording and you're going to issue it to me anyway, I'm going to continue recording.
Audio recording.
If you want this to.
Is that accurate, sir?
Audio recording only.
You did. On or about 26 June, without authority, placing yourself in place B, at which you required to be to wit building 600 located at Camden Air Force Base, New Mexico, and did remain so absent until on or about 10 July 2024. Violation of UCMJ Article 89. You did, at or near Clovis, New Mexico, on or about 18 June 2024, behave yourself with disrespect towards me, with your commissioned officer in command. Did notify you of your by refusing to provide a reporting statement, neglecting the customary salute, or showing extreme rudeness while in the presence of me. Violation of UCMJ, Article 92. You, having knowledge of a lawful order issued by me on or about 25 June 2024, not to post on social media during duty hours, in order which it was your duty to obey, did on diverse occasions within the United States between on or about 26 June 2024 and on or about 9 July 2024, fail to obey the same by wrongfully posting on Instagram during your duty hours. Sierra Castle, you have the rights listed on page 3 of this document that I'm getting ready to give you, including the right to counsel or to consult a lawyer before making any decision, and to have a lawyer assist you throughout the proceedings. You have an appointment scheduled with ADC in Building 600, phone number 575-784-2915 at 1300 today, 11 July 2024. ADC consultation is not mandatory, and if you choose to not consult defense counsel, you should cancel the scheduled appointment. If you accept non-judicial punishment proceedings and are found to have committed one or more of the offenses alleged, the maximum punishment I may impose on you is listed on page 3 of this document that you'll get as well. You will notify me of your decision by 0730 on 17 July 2024, which is next Wednesday, unless I grant you an extension of time. You'll be provided a copy of all pages of this Air Force Form 3070 and a copy of the evidence against you. You're going to spit slides.
Your Honor, may I have just a moment?
You may. And I did not mention prosecution exhibit 7 is admitted.
And Your Honor, I don't think I stated it, but government is providing court reporter with the original of prosecution exhibit 7. So Colonel Churchill, I want to dive into that video. What uniform is Senior Airman Castle wearing? What uniform was he supposed to be wearing?
Full service dress.
How was he standing in that video?
Similar to our first engagement.
How are airmen supposed to be standing when they're reporting in?
Attention.
When he left that meeting, what did he do?
He just got his phone and left.
What did you take from all of that?
Well, like I mentioned before, after the second engagement, it appeared that they'd be getting through to Airman Castle in terms of reminding him what it means to be an airman and professional arms and how you conduct yourself. And so to see this, essentially a duplicate of the first engagement, was disappointing.
Did you feel that it was appropriate for an airman to act that way?
Absolutely not.
What did you feel about that interaction?
Similar to the first engagement, shocked that we have someone in our service that believes that's okay and that's the right way to act when clearly it's not. There needs to be a sense of discipline and respect in all engagements because it plays into how you conduct yourself on a regular. At the end of the day, members of the professional arms, we have a duty to our country, and when you have folks that you can't trust and you can't depend on, there's no place for that in our military. Period. Enough.
In that video, you say words to the effect of, "I'm letting you audio record." Why did you offer that to him?
As an opportunity for him to continue to go down the path of correcting his behavior. I felt that was something that I'd be willing to let and to allow.
Do you feel that to that point, Senior Airman Castle had said that being able to record was something he needed?
From a previous engagement, just something that he could use essentially as a reminder of how things went, but also if he needed to bring a case against the government. Bottom line, it was all about transparency.
Was there other things that were made known to you that would make Senior Airman Castle more comfortable with appearing at this meeting or any other meeting?
Having his phone, I would venture to say that was something that it made him feel more comfortable.
And what about in regards to being on base in general? Did he make anything known as to what would make him more comfortable doing that?
I believe at the time it was where the behavioral threat assessment cell from or OSI's behavioral threat assessment cell had identified Airman Castle essentially as a higher threat for targeted violence. And so coming on and off base required some level of security in terms of ensuring that he's when he does come on base, he's not necessarily carrying any sort of weapons.
You mentioned you were given information from OSI. When you're receiving this information from them, what are you thinking through in regards to deciding whether or not you should make accommodations for Senior Airman Castle so he can come to base?
Well, the biggest piece is the safety of our folks on base, as well as the folks in and around the area where the engagements were taking place.
What date and time are we at with this video?
So that is the 11th of July, issuing the R15.
What is Airman Castle's duty status, official duty status at this point?
At that time, AWOL, prior to coming on base to receive the R15.
And how did that change in duty status come about?
After the second engagement where I issued the duty expectations and standard memo outlining what duty hours look like, et cetera, with daily contact from Senior Master Sergeant Hunt, the FSS SEL, and my interim SEL Senior Enlisted Leader, it was clear that he was not reporting for work.
Do you remember approximately when you changed that duty status?
The 1st of July.
Up to this point in time, you had mentioned that you were getting some information from Calhoun about Castle not being where he's supposed to be, and that there were other places, or excuse me, other accommodations that he was seeking. Do you feel that you did everything you could to meet Senior Airman Castle's requests for alternate duty locations?
I do.
And why is that?
Because we, as I mentioned before, his owning squadron is the logistic corrections squadron. And so we moved him to the FSS, the 4th Support Squadron, Barnabas, with duties as an accommodation because he felt very stressed and angry at his prior unit. And so this was an attempt to help give him a different space, a different work environment, so we could figure out whatever the next steps were for Airman Castle.
When an airman has issues that come up that he needs to address, whether those be medical, professional, or personal, do you as a commander typically give airmen the opportunity to handle those?
Typically at the lowest level, whether as supervisor, and in this case, the first sergeant, first chief master of arms.
So how do you empower those lower levels to do that?
By giving them that authority.
And so how would you expect them to have that play out?
If Airman Castle or anybody needed to make it to medical appointments, et cetera, that they would make arrangements to ensure they had time to go to those appointments.
So if an airman wasn't if an airman was going to those appointments and meeting those needs that they had, if that was being relayed to that lowest level that you empowered, would you have any response to that?
No, because it's handled at that level. If there were any issues, then of course they come up on Tom, so to speak.
If an airman had made requests for alternate duty locations and they were denied, what would you expect of your airmen?
To understand and recognize that we did what we could. We looked at potential opportunities for different places of duty, and those didn't work out. We relayed.
So what would your steps be if an airman then takes it upon themselves to still not report in?
So then it's taken it to the next level, and as we talked about, Airman Council not reporting to work after the duty standards and expectations memo was issued, moving into AWOL status the 1st of July, continued disobedience in terms of not reporting to work, and even saying as such that he didn't intend to come back. You essentially go to the next level, and that next level would be to mark Airman Castle as a deserter.
Do you feel there was anything else you could do additionally for Senior Airman Castle before you put him into that AWOL status?
I think we did everything we could.
So you said his duty status was changed to AWOL. Was ever a time that it changed from AWOL?
Yes. So we gave credit for the day he reported in for the R-15.
And so what drove you to change that status?
Because he reported for the R-15.
Was it your authority to change his status?
Yes.
And were you the one who ultimately made that decision?
Yes.
Did his duty status change back into AWOL at any point in time?
After that, when he failed to show up to work.
What was the date of that?
The 12th of July, the next day.
12th of July, did you reach out to see if he was at work?
So Senior Hunt and my folks checked in on him daily, reminding him where his place of duty was, what time, etc. Essentially not showing up for work still.
What was your reaction to that, or thoughts about that?
Again, disappointment. After all the conversations that we've had, the rehabilitative nature that the administrative function is, you're hoping that whoever has a change of heart and realizes the wrong they're doing and starts coming to work and being a contributing member of your.
Was there a point in time that his duty status changed again?
Yes.
When was that?
So on the 18th of July was when his response to the R-15 was sent. And so when he didn't show to that, we took the next step, and the next day on the 19th, coded him as deserter. So what time was he supposed to meet you on that day? I think we kept it at similar times, like noon, 12:30. I can't remember the time exactly during the day, but it was an hour set and communicated to Airman Council via Sgt Calhoun. Did Calhoun relay to you as to why he wasn't there at the appointed time? And so leading up to it, when the time came and he did not show, Calhoun and I were texting back and forth. Calhoun was asking various questions, and it seemed like a stalling technique, if you will, because when you're directed to report at a certain time, you're reporting at a certain time and not any later. And so when 10, 15 minutes rolled by and there was no Airman Castle, I was done. You said you felt it was a stalling technique. Why is that? If memory serves, it was text back and forth between myself and Calhoun in where Airman Castle was outside the gate, asking Calhoun questions. How long did you wait for him to show up? It was about 10 10, 15 minutes.
And what did you do after that?
I texted Calhoun, let him know I'm not meeting, we're done, and he's welcome to turn back around and go back home.
Did you have a debrief with Master Sergeant Calhoun after that meeting?
We met along with my other senior leader, talked through next steps, brought in the legal team as well. And we had been in communication with the AFPC folks as well, not just for the AWOL status, but also, what's in my authority as a commander to change that status. And so signing the D form 553, I believe it was, to change that status.
I want to kind of take a step back and talk about kind of what else is going on as these meetings and orders are given, meetings happening, AWOL status changing. Were you receiving any emails from Senior Airman Castle at this time?
It's hard to keep track, but there were a number of emails. One in particular, I believe it was the 11th, the day of the Article 15 issuance, was an Article 138 complaint.
I want to dive into that, but first, you said it was hard to keep track. Why is that?
There were a lot of emails and discussions going on about it in the council.
About how many emails did you receive?
I couldn't
Were they all directed to you in the 2 line?
no.
Who were they directed to?
For all of them, ones of the CSAF, AFSOC leadership, congressional members, I remember another one.
Did you read these emails?
I scanned them.
As you're scanning these emails, what are you thinking to yourself?
I couldn't believe it.
Why is that?
This is not something that you typically see from anyone. To address concerns, there are agencies, there are avenues to address issues, whether that's equal opportunity, whether that's the Inspector General. There are helping and supporting agencies internal to each wing that members have access to for help.
As you're reading through these emails, do you feel you have to take any action in response to any of them?
No. I mean, outside of the Article 138 complaint, which I did, no.
As you're reading these emails, do you think it is within your authority to address any of the concerns or statements that Senior Airman Castle is making in them?
Specific to the 138 complaint, yes. The other ones?
So let's dive into that Article 138. Do you... Just a moment. May I have a moment, sir? I have in my hand a working copy of what was previously admitted as Prosecution Exhibit 3 for identification. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Can you review that and look up at me when you're done? May I retrieve the exhibit, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
Sir, do you recognize that email?
I do.
What is it?
That's the Article 138 complaint.
Were there any attachments included to that email?
I believe there was.
What were those attachments?
I can't recall off the top of my head.
The line of that email was In regards to the 138 complaint, you said. Was there an Article 138 complaint?
Attached to it?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I have in my hand a 38-page document dated 8 July 2024 titled, subject line, Informal Complaint and Written Request for Redress of Grievances under Article 138 Uniform Code of Military Justice. It is addressed to Colonel Stuart Churchill. Marking it as Prosecution Exhibit 8 for identification. Defense has previously been provided a copy of this. Your Honor, would you like a working copy as well?
Please.
And may I approach the witness?
Sure.
Go ahead and review that and look up at me when you are done. Do you recognize that document?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
Remember reviewing it.
How did you receive this document?
Via the email.
How do you know it was from the accused?
It was from his email address addressed to me.
Is the document in same or similar condition as to when you received it, with the exception of the redactions?
With the exception that appears so, yes.
May I retrieve the document, Your Honor?
Yeah.
Government moves to admit Prosecution Exhibit 8 for identification into evidence as Prosecution Exhibit 8.
Defense counsel, do you have any objection to what's been offered as Prosecution Exhibit 8?
Your Honor, I have a moment.
No, sir.
Prosecution Exhibit 8 for identification is admitted as Prosecution Exhibit 8.
Providing the original to the court reporter. Your Honor, may I provide the witness with a working copy of that document?
Yeah, yes.
Thank you. I want to direct you to page 4 of this Article 138 complaint. Can you please turn to that page? Can you please read for me the words Senior Airman Castle uses to describe you?
That was discussed. Prideful Colonel Churchill is the epitome of failed leadership.
To use any other words?
Pompous.
Thank you. May I retrieve the exhibit, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Sir, as you read those words, what were you thinking?
Just continued disrespect. Yep.
Were you the only individual that he spoke of in this Article 138?
I believe that it was a whole smorgasbord of folks in there.
As you're reading about those individuals, are you thinking anything to yourself?
Disappointed, disbelief. Shocked.
Now, this is an Article 138 complaint. Did those words have any impact on how you addressed the fact that this was a complaint?
No, taking each piece of that and what the Airman Council submitted and reviewing it for any action on my end is what I did.
Upon reading that Article 138 complaint, did you make any decisions as to how you would address Senior Airman Castle?
for that in particular, pulled my legal advisor team together to determine what how to respond to each of those.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
I'm handing you back Prosecution Exhibit 3 for Prosecution Exhibit 3, excuse me. That is that email you just spoke of that the Article 138 was attached to. Can you turn to the third page of that email? Can you please read out loud how Senior Airman Castle describes his leadership in the third paragraph?
On page 3.
Yes.
For a quick update, that paragraph?
Yes.
Okay. For a quick update of the situation for anyone's interest, you can learn what my family and I have been dealing with for 3 years next month, from the unlawful leadership here on this sanctimonious, nefarious acting scandal having or forsaken witness.
Permission to approach, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you. Retrieving the Prosecution Exhibit 3 from the witness. Unlawful leadership. At that point in time, were you part of Senior Airman Castle's leadership?
Yes.
So what are your feelings about the words unlawful leadership?
Couldn't be further from the truth.
And why is that?
Because we took every step to ensure that Airman Castle understood what the expectations were of him, ensuring that he had access to the resources he needed, whether that was medical, whether that was administrative, etc.
You said there were numerous other emails that you received. Is that correct?
Yes.
I have in my hand an 85-page document marked as Prosecution Exhibit 9 for identification. On the first page, most of it is white, but it starts with from Castle, Lance C. Jr., Senior Airman. It is dated 3 July 2024, and it composes an 85-page email. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Copies have previously been provided to defense. Your Honor, would you like a working copy?
Yes, please.
There you go. This is a lengthy document, so please take as much time as you need to review it and then look at me when you are ready. Permission to approach the witness, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Retrieving Prosecution Exhibit 9 for identification from the witness. Do you recognize that document?
I do.
How do you recognize it?
I remember reading it.
Was this one of the emails you received from the accused?
Yes.
How do you know it came from him?
Email address.
Was your email in the to line?
I believe it was in the VCC line.
Is Prosecution 9 for identification a true and correct copy of the email with the first subject line starting status update number 2 email, a fair and accurate representation of that email?
Yeah.
Government moves to offer Prosecution Exhibit 9 for identification into evidence as Prosecution Exhibit 9.
Defense counsel, any objection?
review, sir. Right, the concern is this, sir. With respect to charge 2 specification 2, is sort of the line that we're into now. The language in the charging document is that the disrespect the language, the explicit notice of language in the specification contemplates that the disrespect occurred in the presence of Colonel Stuart Churchill, which necessarily cannot be by electronic mail. And so don't view this 85 pages of emails at PE9 as having any relevance as to specification, to charge 2 specification 2, based on plain language reading that draft language. So this is not evidence of an offense, and it's not relevant to charge 2 specification 2.
Trial counsel, do you have a response?
Yes, sir. So we would argue that it is. It was directed to Colonel Churchill, among others. It contains disrespectful language regarding leadership and, again, customs and courtesies not being followed in regards to that. And while he may have been in the BCC line, it was, in fact, an intentional direction towards him.
So you're offering this exhibit as direct evidence of charge 2 specification 2?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Is this, I have to go back to the monumental 404B motion and ruling. Is this exhibit being offered solely for proof as to charge 2 specification 2, or is there also some other alternate purpose? Is it relevant to any other charge?
Yes,
Help me
sir.
understand exactly what you're offering this
Yes,
for.
sir. So it has been heavily redacted in accordance with that 404B ruling, but it still does contain evidence of his motive, evidence of his intent, his lack of mistake, as was noticed by government, that he had these feelings in regards to his leadership, to include Colonel Churchill, in regards to the base in general and the leadership on that base, that he wasn't going to comply with orders. The motive for not complying with those orders including the charge AWOL period of time and the 92 violations.
Okay. So, to Mr. Conway's objection, Article 89, of course, statutorily does not require that the disrespect occur in the presence of the person alleged. However, in this case, the government has chosen, well, let me ask you this. Does this document contain the language prideful, epitome of failed leadership, or pompous?
Not those exact words, sir, but we did charge it as words to that effect.
Understood. So the portion that this would potentially be relevant for as direct evidence of charge 2 specification 2 would be the extreme rudeness.
Yes, sir.
But in that case, the government did choose to essentially enhance their burden by alleging that it was done in the presence, the extreme rudeness anyway. So my intent would be to sustain it on that grounds. However, Mr. Conway, do you believe we litigated 404B, and if government is offering that this is part and parcel of their 404B evidence, do you believe it runs afoul of the court's ruling?
If you'll give me a moment to that. Firstly, I just want to make one comment on the government's words to that effect. That language is, by fair notice plating, flows from the 138 complaint. That's why I had to do an opening statement. I said, hey, this is that language in the 138 complaint. So when they say words to that effect, they're not talking about this email. They're talking about the 138.
tracking. And it sounds like trial counsel essentially narrowed the focus of it to say this document would only, with respect to charge C specification 2, she's saying this is only relevant to her argument, the extreme rudeness.
Roger, sir, I think we have a meeting of minds on that.
I'm just trying to determine whether, and I haven't looked through 85 pages here, but is this admissible pursuant to the 404B litigation that we do?
It's one thing to suggest that it's evidence of intent or his feelings towards the command leadership. It's another, I think, and this is part of the reason that we go judge alone, right? That because these are require compartmentalization in some respects of these issues. It's another to suggest, if the government were to suggest that the emails themselves are disrespectful, then it would be a sort of an uncharged offense. I think to the extent that the court is able to compartmentalize, and I of course trust that the court can, I wouldn't suggest otherwise, but as long as I think that I have a correct understanding that that issue is compartmentalized, and if this is for the limited purpose of, if any, to show that absence of mistake or state of mind, if you will, then I wouldn't find that objectionable.
Sorry, give me just 1 second. I'm just skimming through the 404B ruling. All right, trial counsel, let me ask you this. This 85-page document that's been offered as prosecution exhibit 9, is it an excerpt of the 219-page email that was noticed pursuant to paragraph 1, double echo of the government's MRE 404B notice?
It is, sir. It has now been reduced.
Well, okay, and so then I didn't notice this or did not come to mind anyway until I pulled up the court's ruling again. So with respect to paragraph 1, double echo of the MRE 404B litigation, the court granted in total the defense's motion to exclude that email, given that the notice as provided was just any and all statements, and there was, the court's rationale was there was no particularized notice or showing as to, what specific statements contained in the email may be 404B and for what permissible purpose. So on 404B grounds, the email has been excluded, and there's been no subsequent litigation to readdress that. So then, just kind of thinking through this logically, if we set aside 404B and its admissibility on those grounds, we're back to Mr. Conway's original objection. Is there any relevance of this document to any of the charge specifications as direct evidence?
May I have a moment?
Sure. tell you what, trial counsel, we've been going for quite a while. We're going to take a comfort break at this point, give you a chance to talk amongst yourselves, and then we'll come back on the record at 14:50. I'm sorry. While we're on recess, Colonel Churchill, you are still under oath and on the stand. Do not talk to anybody while you're on the stand. Court's in recess until 14:50.
All rise.
Sorry, yeah.
Go ahead, trial counsel.
Thank you, sir. I know that was a long break, Colonel Churchill, so I want to reorient you back to where we were. Specifically, I want to go back to that Article 138 email with the Article 138 attachment. Again, do you remember approximately when you received that? Were you in the execution of your office as MSG Group Commander when you received this email?
Yes.
And what were your thoughts when you received that email?
Surprised. Surprised to receive it and the content of it.
And you briefly touched on it, but in more detail, can you tell me, was there any actions that you decided to take in regards to that Article 138 email?
So in terms of the normal process of responding to it, working with my team to formulate what that might look like.
And did you ultimately respond to it?
I did.
Was there any feedback that you got from Senior Airman Castle as a result?
I don't recall.
During this time that he was in an AWOL status, you said that you made that decision to switch that status. Was it relayed to you that there were accommodations that Senior Airman Castle would comply with that would make him come to base and thus be out of AWOL status?
I think at that point it was pretty clear that he wasn't coming back.
Did you relay that information to anybody else? Your understanding that he was not coming back?
That's where the next step of changing his status from AWOL to deserter.
Once his status was changed to deserter, who did you inform of that change of status?
So OSI is typically part of that process with AFTC via the case management system channels, as well as the multidisciplinary team audience that had traditionally got together before any sort of engagement happened.
Is there anything Senior Airman Castle could have done that would have changed his status from deserter?
Come to work.
And what do you mean by come to work?
Come back to work. I mean, it was pretty clear what coming to work looked like, as well as adhering to the standards and expectations related to it.
If you had approved an alternate duty location for Senior Airman Castle and he had showed up to that location, would you have taken him out of deserter status?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you feel that you did everything you could to accommodate Senior Airman Castle with the tools that you had?
I do.
No further questions at this time, sir.
Defense counsel, cross-examination.
Yes, please. Good afternoon, sir. I'd like to start where the government left off here with the change in status from AWOL to deserter to orient you. What I recall you saying earlier, and it's been some time today because of the break, but on direct examination, you testified that he was coded as a deserter on the 18th of July, is what I noted. Is that correct?
19th of July.
No. 19th of... My understanding is that there was a meeting scheduled, correct? And what was? Remind me what the purpose of this meeting was. Well, you talk about he's using the stalling technique, so he's been told to come back with Castle, right? Okay, so there's a meeting scheduled between yourself, Master Sergeant Calhoun, and Senior Airman Castle, correct? Yes, sir.
Yes.
And your testimony is that Senior Airman Castle was outside of the gate, correct?
To my knowledge, yes.
Because that was being relayed through Master Sergeant Calhoun, right?
Correct.
And it appears as though you were tracking that Senior Airman Castle did not want to come onto the installation, right?
Yes.
And you were also tracking his previous arrest at that very gate, right?
Objection, Your Honor, relevant.
Defense counsel.
Well, he talked about there being a stalling tactic. So this is just sort of probing whether it was in fact a stalling tactic or not, or whether he thought he was going to get tackled again.
Your Honor, I'm also going to add an objection as to speculation.
Okay. I'm going to ask the witness one question just so I understand how this meeting fits in. Colonel Churchill, what was the date of the meeting that we're talking about where the accused was outside the gate?
This was the Article 15 response on the 18th, I believe.
July. All right, so defense counsel, I guess the objection is to relevance. If this were evidence of the meeting, think through this. Evidence of the meeting came in without objection. It's outside the scope of the AWOL. If it were one of the AWOL offenses or during that, I would completely agree. His reasons for being AWOL are relevant. Well, I'm going to overrule the objection given that trial counsel elicited essentially the circumstances surrounding that meeting, and so it's fair for defense counsel to explore the reasons for why the accused
Yes, sir.
did not come on the base. Overruled.
Understood. So this is where the government leads off, and my concern here, Colonel, and I give you every respectfully opportunity to kind of sort of explain this, is that your testimony was that you told him to go home.
Those exact words, I don't recall the exact words I used.
Right, but the message was clear. You're at the gate.
The meeting was not going to happen.
Right, so you're frustrated, and this is not a judgmental question. There's no innuendo here. You're frustrated that the meeting's not going to happen. You're a commander. You have other things to do. You told him to go home, right?
If those are the words I used, then that's
words to that effect, right?
Right.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, it was the meeting was not happening.
And then 10 to 15 minutes later, you took steps to have him coded as a deserter after telling him to go home.
Well, he didn't report to work the next day.
Well, the coding as a deserter was used as a pretext in order to have him arrested off post, was it not?
Because he wasn't coming back to work.
Right, and he had expressed continuously a desire to telework, right?
Correct.
And behavioral health professionals had advocated on his behalf for that telework, right?
As an option, potentially.
Right. And this all circles back to a previous arrest he had at that very gate, right?
If you could help me out, remind me when that happened.
Sure, the date is not particularly important, but you are aware that many of his grievances from the Article 138 complaint pertain to Colonel Roche and Colonel Vasquez, do they not?
Sure.
Right. And one of his fundamental problems with Colonel Vasquez was that he believed Colonel Vasquez had lied to him about a mental health
Objection,
meeting.
speculation.
As asked, sustained.
He one of his grievances in the understood, sir, in the Article 138 complaint
was a complaint that he had been unlawfully arrested, right?
We're talking about something in that lengthy document.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. And so I'm taking that as an agreement with me that he had wanted some measure of accountability. Part of the grievance is that he wanted some measure of accountability for Colonel Vasquez, correct?
Okay.
Was there ever any sort of command-directed investigation or inquiry into whether Colonel Vasquez or any other member had told him that there was a behavioral health meeting as a pretext to have him arrested?
That's what I'm trying. That predated me.
Right, that incident had predated you, but the Article 138, that as a grievance, was very much during your tenure, right?
And directed at me, correct?
Now, he communicated on many occasions that just simply moving him to the FSS was not giving him a clean slate, right? And he felt that the denial of those accommodations and TTMs being advocated by behavioral health were reprisal.
In his mind, okay.
Right, that's the essence of the complaint, really. In essence, his chief complaint is that he's being reprised against, and that the reprisal is the denial of the accommodations, right?
Okay. Not an accurate statement, okay. From my point of view.
Well, I'm not trying to be adversarial. If you have it, I'm making nothing but polite here, Colonel. I know you may disagree, but if you have a different understanding, I'm giving you every opportunity in the world to explain. And so, what is the different understanding as to what his complaint was?
Well, from my perspective, in terms of treatment, with Emily Castle was nothing but respectful all throughout this process.
The heart of the issue that I'm trying to get to is whether you ever truly understood what his grievance was, right? Is it your testimony that as you sit there right now, you still don't understand exactly what his grievance was?
It's, as you stated, one of those things being that I was reprising this. I'm not approving an accommodation for alternate worsen.
In the Article 138 complaint is the vehicle for filing a grievance against the commander, right?
Yes.
Now, one of the things that you said, well, I want to slip gears a little bit, change gears, and move beyond the Article 138. The initial meeting, you had some prior knowledge of Senior Airman Castle because in your previous capacity you had been courtesy copied, right? That was your testimony?
Yes.
And when you did your turnover with your predecessor, Colonel Roche, it was clear that Senior Airman Castle was going to be an issue that you were going to be left to deal with, right?
There was a current issue with Senior Icana that Colonel Roche was not able to take care of while he was there, and that may come to my attention.
Now, in that first meeting, Senior Airman Castle had some ongoing medical issues, right? And you were aware that he had been pending on that board, right?
Sorry.
You were aware that, first of all, I'll change the question. You were aware that he had multiple surgeries, right?
Back and shoulder surgery.
Roger, sir. And you were aware that there was a history of high blood pressure there, right?
can't say for certain.
You were aware that there was a history of significant distrust with the previous leadership, right? He did say, the witness did say yes.
Colonel Churchill, just when everything that we say in here is reduced to writing, verbatim transcript. So when Ms. Davis does that, things like, we can't tell what that means. So we need either a yes or a no.
And you were also aware that there had been an aggressive cell extraction, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that cell extraction had been so aggressive that it had resulted in the closing down of that facility, right?
I wasn't tracking that piece.
And your volume there was perfectly audible, but my brain, for whatever reason, didn't hear whether you said you were tracking.
I wasn't tracking that piece.
Roger. Thank you for that. That was all me. Okay. Now then, with respect to the recording issues, firstly, were you were advised by legal, of course, that the recording itself.
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for possible privileged communications with his attorney. Advisements provided by his legal office.
Well, you did ask about, elicit from the witness his advice that he received with regard to his no recording order. So to the extent the witness has already disclosed that, and I'll overrule the objection, which is what I understand defense counsel is getting at. Trial counsel, if you feel that the witness is about to disclose object if you see the need. I mean, as the agent who holds the privilege, I'm not. I'll take your argument on whether you can invoke it on his behalf or not. So, objection's overruled.
To be clear, you were advised by legal that the recording itself did not violate any federal laws.
Correct.
And he did it completely out in the open, right? In other words, it wasn't secretly recorded.
Correct.
And he made clear, and I think you may have even said this, that he was recording it for his own protection, right?
Yes.
And his posting of it, he did so both for his protection and to call attention to what he believed were wrongs, right?
Yes.
And so you went to legal because you were concerned that this was potentially protected speech.
Correct. Under CUI. Information.
Well, there were concerns. How the way I understood your direct, and I'm giving you every opportunity to correct me here, is that whether there were privacy issues related to him, right?
I think, the overall goal in preventing any sort of recording was primarily due to maintaining good order and discipline across the force, as well as ensuring the trust and respect of all parties involved.
Right, and what strikes me about that is that you talk about trust, but the fundamental reason that he's recording is because there's been a breach of his trust, right?
Right.
And I believe that your testimony has reflected that he was concerned that he was going to be arrested at that meeting. Right?
Which meeting are we talking about?
We're talking about the first one in which he was, I guess, breathing heavily. With respect to the social media posting, the order that was given was that he could post anything on social media. You were not restricting that. It was just simply it could not be done during the day.
During the duty day.
During the dirty day.
As well as in compliance with established standards at the time for personal social media.
Okay. With respect to the removal to the FSS, I think you believed, you testified that that was your decision, but isn't it true that Colonel Roche had moved him to the FSS prior to the change of command because of a 138 that he filed against Colonel Vasquez, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, regarding the no contact order, it was Chief Baldwin, I believe, that came to you sort of on the behalf of others, right? And through Chief Baldwin, the complaint was essentially this: they just simply didn't want to be on the thread, right?
That's not how I understood the reasons for not wanting to be part of it. I think there, like I mentioned previously, there was some stress and anxiety added to it on the department members who were receiving these, and potentially some safety concerns as well.
To be clear, he's not charged with making any threats towards any specific individuals. You agree with that, right?
Correct. That was a comma. OSI's behavioral threat assessment cell tracks and monitors
right.
All things, and so in the very beginning, he was identified as moderate for targeted violence.
Yeah.
And then increased to high and significant as we got closer to 15.
Right, and that's one of his grievances as well, right? He felt as though his previous leadership had made some defamatory comments regarding him being a threat because he turned down the COVID vaccine, right?
Before my time, I'm not trying.
Okay. Well, can you at least agree with me on this? He never threatened anybody.
I don't know if I can agree with that comment, actually.
Well, filing a 138, you know, that's not a threat of physical harm, right?
No, but his emails, his demeanor, there's and whatever else the experts in the OSI field track that designates someone as such. Trust their advice.
You would trust their advice without any sort of scrutiny as to the basis for that determination, right?
As in what?
Well, it was a baseless allegation. That's fundamentally part of his grievance, is that it was completely baseless to suggest that he was a threat, right?
I'm not part of the OSI team and their expertise that what they look at. I don't know what they took in consideration specifically to what you're mentioning, but I think what they do is pull in all sorts of information and make a determination and a recommendation to the chain of command.
Right, that's an assumption on your part, but you sit here in court under oath and suggest that he was a moderate to high risk for targeted threat, when in fact there was never and never has been a targeted threat.
I would disagree with specifically going back to the first engagement, his demeanor and posture, and then the third engagement as well. Very similar pattern of behavior. And so if someone like an expert is telling me that there's the potential, I'm not going to dismiss that.
It's your testimony, let's be clear here, Colonel, that OSI suggested before that first, second, and third meeting that you were the subject of a potential targeted attack?
I was the one issuing the paperwork. And so if I recall, the verbiage that was used, specific to targeted violence, would be towards an individual that is causing that scenario, potentially, and that's how I took it.
We can hear him in the audio And my apologies here, but the absurdity of what you're saying right now, you can hear him in the audio saying that he wants the Article 15. Can you not?
I can hear that. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's there because he wants the Article 15,
Okay.
right? To the extent that you were ever threatened, it was with protected communications to a congressional, right?
Okay.
It was with respect to the Article 138 in and of itself, right?
Okay.
And it was with respect to public disclosures of what he believed were the wrongs, right?
Objection, Your Honor. Counsel is testifying at this point.
Overruled. He's asking a question. I'm not sure he's getting responsive information, but it's a valid question.
And I'll rephrase it. The only thing that Senior Airman Castle ever threatened was to use the legal process, right?
Okay.
Okay, sir. If you'll give me just a moment, please. I'm going to check with my colleague here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Colonel. I don't have anything further.
Trial counsel, any redirect?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Sir, how long have you been a commander?
2 years as a squad commander, and since June of last year.
During your time as a commander, were you ever briefed on types of protected communications?
Yes.
Can you give me an example of some?
Attorney-client communications, specific administrative documents that aren't necessarily for public release, whether that's marked CUI, controlled classified information, that sort of thing.
I just ask that you project a little bit louder. Apologies. Is it your understanding that an Article 138 is part of that classification of privileged communications?
I would consider it as such, yes.
Or excuse me, protected communications?
Yes.
During your time as commander, did you ever receive any briefings, advice, otherwise knowledge as to when a protected communication is no longer protected?
Yes, I'm sure I have.
Can you give me some examples of what would do that?
I guess when individuals, all parties consent to its release, if it's FOIA requested, those sorts of scenarios.
Is it your opinion that that Article 138 that was sent via the email that we previously discussed remained in a protected status when he sent it to all the individuals in the 2 line?
No, absolutely not.
With this communication being to all these individuals, did you have any opinions as to how this would impact your unit?
That's part of the calculus, right? Not knowing the extent of the addressees and each of these correspondence, who was blind copied, et cetera. And so at the end of the day, the larger the audience, more folks are tracking, and it can detract from overall good order and discipline in the formation.
You agreed with defense counsel that it was Senior Airman Castle's belief that this threat was unfounded.
Yes.
Senior Airman Castle's beliefs, let me rephrase this. Was Senior Airman Castle considered a threat, according to you?
According to what I was provided, based on OSI's threat assessment center, as well as my own interactions with him, a potential for some form of violence, yes.
That potential for violence, was it directed at, did you consider it to be directed at just you?
All the folks that he disparages in so many different words on the various emails that pushed out to include wing leadership on them.
Defense counsel stated, and you agreed, that Senior Airman Castle believed you were committing reprisal against him. Were you?
No.
Did you ever restrict his access to grievance resources?
No.
Were there times that you reminded him of resources?
Yes.
Can you give me some examples?
Each of the communications or times that Sgt Calhoun would provide info to Airman Council, as well as each of the engagements. It's written in documentation.
If despite all of that, he still believed that you were committing reprisal, does that make it true?
In his mind, potentially, yes.
In his mind. I want to turn to something else that defense counsel pointed out is in Senior Airman Castle's mind. This fear of being apprehended at the gate. Did you ever relay to Senior Airman Castle, through any of the individuals that you put, as you put it, the belly button to him, that he was going to be apprehended?
No.
Did you ever tell them that he wasn't going to be apprehended? In those times that he was meant to report to base, we talked about receiving the no contact order, the duty expectations, that Article 15 and the additional one right before July 8th. All of those instances, and any of those, was it your intention to apprehend Senior Airman Castle?
No.
The last meeting, defense stated you used that as a pretext, moving him into deserter status, as a pretext for his arrest. What do you mean by that?
So when someone's put in deserter status, part of the process, as I understand it, is the information is coded in a system, and then there's the be on the lookout, essentially pushed out to security forces, but also local law enforcement. And there's coordination across the board in terms of finding the number.
So it was your authority to put him into deserter status, you stated. When you put him into deserter status, what was your intention behind that?
Well, at that point, he hadn't been showing up for work. And the fact that he didn't make it to the Arc 15 response meeting as directed, it left me no other alternative. He was not coming back to work, and he made that apparent.
Defense counsel asked you, did you tell Senior Airman Castle to go home after that meeting? Did you tell him those exact words, to go home?
Yeah, I don't remember.
After each meeting that you had with Senior Airman Castle, if he needed to consult with somebody on base, did you advise him of the opportunity to consult with individuals?
Absolutely, and that's part of the process that members have with their first sergeants, in this case, Sgt Calhoun, going back to his office to discuss the paperwork and what it meant, as well as ensure he had access to his ADC and anything else that he needed.
Next, I want to turn to this telework that defense counsel mentioned. He said a provider recommended it, and you agreed with that, correct?
Yes.
How are duty limitations typically documented in the military?
Typically, those are on a profile, like a medical profile.
Are medical profiles binding on commanders?
In certain situations, when it comes to broken arms, that sort of stuff, where folks have getting reasons to not say do physical training or things along those lines.
And in those instances, do you give those accommodations?
Absolutely.
Because it's your understanding that that would be binding on you. So in this instance, you did not grant telework, you said. Why is that?
Well, one, the job that Airman Castle was hired to do in the military does not lend itself to telework. So at the end of the day, affording an additional accommodation for doing something totally outside of his trained Air Force specialty, at the end of the day, what we needed him to do was to come back to work.
Was your denial of his telework retribution towards Senior Airman Castle?
No.
I have just a moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
In regards to each of the orders that you gave Senior Airman Castle, let's start first with the no contact order. Were you in your official capacity?
Yes.
Is that the same for the duty expectations memo?
Yes.
If an airman doesn't agree with a lawful order, is he allowed to disobey it?
No.
Does it matter if that lawful order is more restrictive than a federal law?
No.
I'm just going to object just because these are questions of law here.
Trial counsel. Any response?
I would argue that this is not a matter of law. It is his opinion of the interpretation of the duties that are put before him, if he is allowed to make these decisions.
I understand. I do find that it's argumentative / it's not a factual issue that's pertinent to this witness's testimony, so I'll sustain the objection. Just keep it limited to facts, please.
Understood, sir. Again, did Senior Airman Castle ever ask for specific accommodations that you felt you could grant?
No.
No further questions, sir.
Can you recross defense counsel?
If I get just a moment, sir.
Sir, in your capacity as a commander, you do have the authority to restrict government email and access to it, correct?
Typically, the Air Force allows access based on your security clearance, as well as current information assurance or cyber awareness training. So that's more than Air Force enforcement.
Does your authority exist to restrict that access?
I would say probably in certain situations, if there are potential for classified information getting out, etc.
Okay. And there were never any efforts, I use that term broadly, to restrict his access to email?
There was
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
I'll withdraw the question, sir. I'll withdraw it.
Okay. If you no longer intend to ask it, I will sustain the objection.
So, with respect to the 18 July meeting, I really want you to understand that this is in the spirit of just the inquiry, obtaining facts here. You indicated that that was for the NJP turn down or decision, right? Response, Roger. And I'm not trying to be clever here at all. I simply look at the charge sheet, which is a public document. Charges were actually preferred on that very day, 18 July, right?
So I offered them on the 11th, correct?
Okay. And so I'm purely trying to understand the timeline here. You preferred charges the same day that he was to make his election with respect to the Article 15?
That's the way the dates shook out.
Well, I'm asking again. I'm not trying to be clever here. I'm just asking for your memory. The public document, the preferral charge sheet is 18 July.
Okay.
And so, is it your memory that you preferred charges the same very day that he was supposed to make his elections with respect to the Article 15?
My mind is need some help remembering that piece in particular.
Let me. Okay, look. Again, I want to extend sort of all due respect here, so I just want to give you an opportunity. My understanding is that you all were talking about imposing pretrial confinement as early as July 1st, right?
I think at that point it was giving Cameron Cass an opportunity to come back to work.
Right.
So if he's in AWOL status on the 1st of July, effective the 1st of July.
So the question is this: if there were in fact conversations, discussions about imposing pretrial confinement, at least as of 1 July?
I think naturally that would probably be part of the conversation, depending if you're looking at how things may or may not play out.
Let me tell you what it looks like, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. What it looks like was at the meeting that was scheduled on 18 July was not to make the elections for the NJP.
Objection, argumentative.
Defense counsel?
I caveated this. I said, you can tell me I'm crazy. You can tell me I'm wrong. This is what it looks like, and tell me if I'm wrong. I don't think it's argumentative at all.
Aside from the objection on argumentative, I guess, can you give me a forecast as to what the relevance of the whole timeline line of questioning is?
That meeting was
the offenses, you know what I mean?
Roger, sir. That meeting was never going to be for the elections. The decision to prefer had already been made. He was told to come in for that. He stalls at the gate because he believes that he's going to be arrested. He's told to go home. I think it was already decided that they were going to use the deserter status as a pretext to have him arrested.
So you're essentially impeaching the witness's credibility as to previous testimony that 18 July was for the purpose of getting him just the response.
All right, and I'm doing it in a very respectful way. I've been telling him this is what it looks like to me. What's your answer, sir?
Understood. I'll overrule the objection.
So what it looks like, because the date on the preferral sheet is 18 July 2024, it looks like you had already made the decision to prefer charges before arranging the meeting, right? And it looks like you had already made the decision to turn him away and send him home and have him declared a deserter.
No, I didn't.
Well, he's at the front gate, worried that he's going to be arrested when he comes in to make his elections, right? That's why he's stalling. He's at the front gate because it's being communicated to you through...
Objection, Your Honor. Counsel is testifying.
I haven't even finished the question, sir.
What's the question, defense counsel?
Was it being communicated to you that he was stalling at the front gate because he was worried he was going to be arrested?
formulated that way, it's overruled.
Was it communicated to you that he was stalling at the front gate because he was worried that he was going to be arrested?
I think that was part of the communication.
But he had not made his elections yet on the Article 15, right? No, my point is this. You had made the decision to prefer charges before he had turned down the Article 15. Am I right?
Well, the fact that he hadn't been reporting to work, he was on AWOL status, and getting the sense from various communication that he didn't intend to come back to base or to work.
Right, but on that day, he's attempting to be where he's supposed to be, and that is to come to the meeting, right?
Okay.
And he's at the front gate trying to decide whether to go through the gate or not, communicating with Calhoun, right? And he's trying to get assurances from Calhoun that he's not going to be arrested, right? But in that particular moment in time, he had not communicated to you yet whether he was going to refuse the NJP. But you say that was the purpose of the meeting, right?
To follow up on
The NJP. Well, you said earlier the purpose of the meeting. You said it several times. The purpose of the meeting was for him to respond to the NJP.
Correct.
But that's what you told him. But the real purpose of the meeting was to prefer the charges.
I guess I'm a little confused on timing and how this is playing out. It's not necessarily making sense to me in terms of the timeline. So I guess I would ask legal counsel in terms of the process, right, to make sure that I'm remembering correctly.
No, I'm asking you. You had made the decision to prefer charges before he had made his elections on the NJP. It's a very simple question. Okay. I don't have anything else, sir.
Thanks, Mr. Conway. Trial counsel, any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Colonel Churchill, when you set the meeting to meet with Senior Airman Castle in mid-July, specifically 17 July, was it your intention to prefer charges at that meeting?
I already preferred charges on the 11th of July.
So, I want to make sure, because I know we've been talking about dates here and it's getting confusing to orient you. From 26 June 2024 to 10 July 2024, to your knowledge, did Senior Airman Castle appear for work?
No.
Between 12 July 2024 and 17 July 2024, did Senior Airman Castle appear for work?
No.
At this meeting that he was supposed to have, that you ultimately canceled because he was late, were you made aware that he had hesitations coming onto base?
Yes.
Who told you that?
Sergeant Calhoun.
Did you tell Sergeant Calhoun anything in regards to addressing Senior Airman Castle's concerns?
I can't recall.
We've talked about the multiple times that you met with Senior Airman Castle. When you ultimately decided to prefer charges, what were you considering?
Primarily the fact that he wasn't coming to work and doing what he was supposed to do.
What about other behaviors?
I mean, there's the posting on social media, that sort of thing.
May I have a moment, sir?
You may.
Okay. We reviewed a video in court of your meeting on July 11th, 2024, correct?
Yes.
What was that meeting about?
That was issued number 15.
At that point in time, had you made a decision to prefer charges against Senior Airman Castle?
No.
Were there other acts that happened after that that changed that decision?
In terms of not showing up for work, posting on social media, not coming back to work was the biggest piece.
Did you treat Senior Airman Castle any differently than you would have treated any other airman who was not showing up for work?
No.
In your 30 years in the Air Force, have you ever allowed another airman other than the accused to record their interactions with you?
Objection, relevance.
Trial counsel.
They're asking if he's made accommodations. We've asked if he's treating Senior Airman Castle fairly. This goes to whether or not he is basically meeting the image in Castle's mind that he is committing reprisal, retribution, and so forth.
Then it's arguably speculative as to, well, there hasn't been any foundation laid for whether Airman Castle was aware of Colonel Churchill's previous treatment of other airmen, and otherwise it doesn't seem to be relevant to the charged offenses, how he treated other airmen. So I'll sustain the objection.
What is the standard practice for when an airman doesn't show up for work?
Standard practice is to essentially have the supervisors communicate with the individual and see what's going on, communicate that up to the chain, and ensure that they have what they need, at least initially, to figure out what the problem is.
And if in that process an airman states that he has concerns such as the ones that Senior Airman Castle has articulated, that he was going to be apprehended, or that there were threats against him, or he was wrongfully being considered a threat himself, what is the standard practice for addressing those?
For those, whether that's an inquiry internal to the unit or from an outside agency, whether that's the IG or EO in this case, to have a inquiry done.
To your knowledge, was anyone else restricting Senior Airman Castle?
Not to my knowledge.
If it had come to your knowledge that they were, as the MSG commander, what would you have done?
Remove that roadblock and ensure he had access.
So again, just because Senior Airman Castle believes these things and is articulating this to you, do you feel you could have done more to help him?
No.
Do you feel that just because he believes it, it makes it reality?
Yes.
Reality for you, reality for him, reality for somebody else.
For him.
And so if it's not a reality for you, but it's a reality for him, as a commander, what are you to do?
Well, in that case, like we did, ensure he has access to appropriate resources.
Thank you, sir. May I have just a moment?
Sure.
That final meeting that you were supposed to have with Senior Airman Castle that you ultimately ended up canceling, Was it your understanding that he was not going to be coming to that meeting?
Initially, no.
So what changed, if anything?
Outside of the text messages that we just talked about between him and Sgt Calhoun and relaying that to me.
No further questions, sir.
Thanks, trial counsel. Can you recross, Mr. Conway?
Yes, sir. Colonel, on that 18 July referral date, you did not tell him in advance that charges were being preferred on 18 July, right?
I'm not sure if that was communicated via Sgt Calhoun, but in terms of the intent behind the meeting, when it was set up, I'm sure it was communicated to Airman Council.
You don't know what was communicated to Airman Castle, to be clear.
In terms of the purpose of that meeting, Sgt Calhoun communicated the purpose of the meeting.
Is your understanding that what was communicated, and I only say this because you said it on direct, that it was communicated that the purpose of the meeting was for him to make his Article 15 motions? Correct. Next.
Redirect based on that, trial counsel?
May I have a moment, sir?
Yeah, you may.
No further questions, sir.
Subject to recall.
Yes, sir.
Right, Colonel Churchill, what that means, you're going to be excused at this time, but there's a possibility one or both of the parties may recall you for further testimony. So for you to step down and go about your duties, but just make sure that somebody has a good contact number for you. Also, as I instructed you earlier, once you step down, you can now talk to the attorneys or the accused, but don't discuss your knowledge of the facts of the case or your testimony with anyone else other than those folks, okay? All right, you're excused. Thank you. All right, trial counsel, how long do you anticipate your next witness to be?
Between 15 to 40 minutes.
Okay. Well, circling back, is this the witness for whom you wanted to reoffer potentially prosecution exhibit 9 prior to their testimony?
No, Your Honor. We're planning to shuffle our witness order.
Okay. We'll go ahead and call one more witness and then break for the evening. So you can call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor.